There is a type of silence that only the chosen ones know. It is the silence that falls upon the soul at the exact fraction of a second when it begins to doubt something it has always trusted. Have you ever felt it? That strange, almost imperceptible sensation that you are being guided. Yes, but guided by a hand that is not the right hand. Have you ever stopped in the middle of a prayer and felt deep down that the presence you have called protection for so many years no longer brings you peace, but rather a strange weight, a shadow disguised as light? It isn't madness. It isn't spiritual exhaustion. It isn't a lack of faith. It is discernment. It is your spirit waking up to one of the greatest charades ever staged within the life of a child of God. And God, on this very day, has decided to tear the veil away from this farce because the time of your deception is over. There is something passing itself off as a guardian angel in your life that was never an angel at all. And from this moment on, you will understand why so many times you prayed and your prayer seemed to hit an invisible ceiling. Why so many times you dreamed of a luminous figure that gave you advice that seemed good but led you to losses, to wrong relationships, and to decisions that destroyed your peace. You will understand why so many people praised your spirituality while, in secret, your life was collapsing in silence. There is a game being played in layers that most of humanity cannot see, and in this game, there is a cunning, ancient, patient peace that has specialized in imitating the voice of God's messengers to lead the chosen ones exactly away from their divine purpose. Think carefully. What if everything you swore was protection was in fact surveillance? What if what you swore was direction was in fact a detour? And what if that familiar presence that has accompanied you since childhood, the one you christened your guardian angel, was exactly the most sophisticated disguise ever created against your lineage? Today you will discover how to recognize this farce, how it infiltrated your life, how long it has been operating, and what God is releasing now, right now, so that this mask falls before your eyes once and for all. That is why I prepared this powerful digital book for you, The God-Chosen's Manual for Family Protection. This digital book is not just a reading, it is a map that shows exactly how to identify these counterfeit presences that pass themselves off as angels inside your home, inside your sleep, inside your decisions, and even inside your prayers. This digital book was created for those who have awakened enough to understand that not everything that shines in a dream is divine light, and that there are spiritual rules you were never told about how to discern a true guardian sent by God from something that is merely costumed as one. The link is pinned at the top of the comments. But I must warn you of something, chosen one. This type of content rarely remains available for long, because what is in these pages directly challenges the narrative that keeps millions of people hostage to counterfeit spiritual guides, and there have already been real attempts to silence this knowledge before. Do not wait for the right moment. The right moment is now, chosen one, because you did not arrive at this video by accident. Download it now and comment below. I am chosen and I will download the digital book. Now that you have decided to act, prepare your spirit, because the next truth I am going to reveal to you is the deepest blow against this disguised oppression that has been following you. There is a pattern, chosen one, a pattern that repeats in the lives of almost all children of God who have been captured by this farce. And when you hear what I am going to tell you now, you will begin to cry with recognition, because you will realize that this has been happening to you all along. The first sign that what you call a guardian angel is not your guardian angel is that it demands a constant presence, it demands rituals, it demands that you close your eyes and speak to it, it demands that you light candles, repeat names, and ask for permission. A true angel sent by God does not ask for worship. A true angel does not compete with God for your attention. A true angel acts in silence, protects in silence, clears the way in silence, and never, at any moment, demands that you depend on it to find the Father. But this entity that passes itself off as an angel in the lives of many chosen ones does exactly the opposite. It becomes indispensable. It becomes too intimate. It begins to speak about your life with details that seem heavenly. But little by little, it pulls you away from direct prayer with God. It teaches you that you need it as an intermediary. It gives you advice that seems wise, but always always puts you in situations where you lose something. Have you ever noticed that after following that intuition you called spiritual, something important in your life began to crumble? A relationship, a job in the city, a true friendship, a financial opportunity, a door opened by God that you closed thinking you were being guided. That was no coincidence, chosen one, that was strategy. A millennial strategy from an entity that learned to speak the language of heaven to deceive those born marked for the kingdom. There is a second sign, even more disturbing, and I need you to take a deep breath before reading. This presence, disguised as a guardian angel, usually appears with the most force exactly at the moments when God is about to promote you. When a true door opens, it appears with a disturbing dream. When a real opportunity arrives, it brings a sudden feeling of fear, of distrust, of paralysis. When someone sent by God approaches your life in Chicago or London to help you, it whispers in the back of your mind that the person is not trustworthy, and you, without understanding why, pull away. Have you never wondered why so many good friendships were lost, based on a strange feeling you couldn't explain? Why so many people who could have been bridges in your life walked away because you saw them through clouded eyes? It was the farce at work. It was this entity managing your perception as if it were your own thought. And the third sign, this is the one that hurts the most, is loneliness. He who is guided by a true angel finds companionship, finds a spiritual family, finds a people. But he who is guided by this imitation ends up isolated, ends up thinking no one understands him, ends up moving away from the church, from the brothers, from the people who could pray with him. He ends up believing he needs to walk alone because he is too special for the community. Chosen one isolation is the signature of this farce. It is its trademark, because it knows that an isolated child of God is a dominated child of God. That is exactly why I needed to write the digital book, the God-Chosen's Manual for Family Protection, because this farce does not attack only you. It attacks your descendants, it attacks your children, it attacks your spouse, it attacks your entire lineage. And this digital book reveals with clarity who is playing against your family behind this mask, what the spiritual rules are that they never taught you about, how to expel this counterfeit presence from your house, and what entities from other dimensions have already tried to hide about the exact moment we are living in. This digital book was made for those who have awakened enough to understand that it is not enough to pray. It is necessary to know to whom one prays. It is necessary to know who answers when you close your eyes. It is necessary to know who is sitting in the place of the true angel within your life. The link is pinned at the top of the comments, but I warn you again, chosen one. This digital book challenges everything that many so-called spiritual masters do not want you to discover, because the day the chosen ones understand how this farce works, their dominion falls to the ground, and that is why they have already tried to silence this knowledge before. They have tried to take similar content offline. They have tried to discourage those who tried to speak the truth. Do not wait for the right moment. The right moment is now, because you are not watching this video by chance. Download it now and comment below. I am chosen and I will download the digital book. And now that you have made this commitment, I am going to give you the most delicate part of this revelation, because it is exactly here that the mask falls and you will see face to face who has really been by your side during all these years. There is a moment in the life of every chosen one when God begins to allow small details to slip out of place. A repeated dream, a feeling that that presence has grown cold, a sudden inability to feel the same peace you felt before when calling upon that name, an inexplicable urge to pray directly to God without an intermediary, without a formula, without a ritual. Have you felt this? This discomfort of no longer wanting to perform that old ritual that always brought you comfort. This strangeness when lighting the candle, when repeating the words, when calling by the name you believed was your protector. It is not distance from God. It is proximity to God. It is God drawing near to you and exposing, through intimacy itself, that which was never His. Because the true light, when it arrives, does not destroy your peace. It destroys the imitations of your peace. It does not take away your tranquility. It takes away the false tranquility. It does not confuse you. It unmasks what has always confused you while pretending to enlighten you. And it is at this moment, chosen one, that the entity that passed itself off as a guardian angel in your life begins to react. It realizes that you are awakening. And when it realizes it has lost control, its game changes. It begins to give you disturbing dreams. It begins to visit you with sudden feelings of guilt, as if you were betraying someone who always protected you. It begins to whisper in your ear that if you abandon that way of praying, some disaster will happen. It uses fear, chosen one. It uses fear exactly because it knows that fear is the only rope that still binds it to your life. And this is where many chosen ones turn back. This is where many return to the old ritual, to the old formula, to the old entity, thinking they are being faithful when, in fact, they are being captured again. Do not fall into this trap. That which threatens you when you want to be free was never your protector. That which punishes you when you want to walk closer to God was never of God. That which fills you with dread when you decide to depend only on the Father was never sent by the Father. Recognize the farce by its desperation to keep you dependent. Recognize the farce by the violence with which it reacts to your awakening. And understand, chosen one, that there is a profound reason why this entity chose your lineage. You were not picked randomly. You are not just any victim. You were marked from your mother's womb to fulfill a purpose so great that this farce needed to install itself early in your life to try to abort this calling from within. Think of all the times you almost surrendered to something greater and something inside you locked up. Think of all the times you felt the impulse to pray in a different way, deeper, freer, and an inner voice told you that would be wrong. Think of all the times you were on the verge of a great revelation and you fell asleep, you forgot, you were distracted, you lost focus. It was the farce, it was this entity managing your calling so that it would never be fulfilled, and it managed to hold you for years, perhaps decades, but today, exactly today, it is losing its dominion. Because God is pouring a frequency over the chosen ones that is tearing through spiritual disguises everywhere. It is toppling counterfeit guides. It is expelling imposter intermediaries. It is calling the children back to the direct presence of the Father, without mediators, without masks, without farces. And this is the greatest threat that entity has ever faced since it installed itself in your life, because it knows that without you, it has no energy. It lives off your attention. It lives off your diverted faith. It lives off the space you ceded to it, thinking you were ceding it to an angel. And it was exactly by understanding the size of this silent war that I needed to put into the digital book, the God-chosen's manual for family protection. Everything that is usually taught only in secret, from generation to generation, within families in places like New England or Virginia, who have known this farce for centuries. This digital book teaches how to expel this counterfeit entity from your home, how to cut the spiritual ties it created through rituals you performed without knowing, how to protect your children so that this same farce does not transfer to the next generation, and how to restore direct communication with God without any intermediary stealing your power of prayer. This digital book was made for those who have already understood that real spiritual warfare does not happen against strangers. It happens against intimate presences that infiltrated pretending to be friends, and therefore it needs real information, real rules, clear instruction on how to identify, expose, and expel each of these disguised figures. The link is pinned at the top of the comments. And again, chosen one, I must be honest with you. This type of content is the kind that most bothers these disguised entities, and that is why it tends to vanish, to be reported, to be pushed down, because the collective awakening of the chosen ones is the only thing these presences cannot combat. There have already been real attempts to silence this knowledge, and that is why I cannot guarantee how long this link will be available. Do not wait for the right moment. The right moment is now, because the fact that you have made it this far is already the confirmation that God wants this liberation for you today. Download it now and comment below. I am chosen, and I will download the digital book. And now that you have closed this agreement with your own liberation, prepare your heart, because I am going to give you now the final revelation, the one that will give you the spiritual step-by-step to turn this page once and for all. There is a spiritual sequence that needs to happen in the life of the chosen one who has discovered the farce, and I'm going to give you that sequence now. The first step is recognition. You need, out loud, to declare that what passed itself off as a guardian angel in your life no longer has authorization to pass itself off as such. Words have weight, chosen one. Heaven operates by declaration. When a child of God declares, heaven moves. When a child of God remains silent, the disguised entities continue to occupy the throne. So the first act is to say, even if trembling, even if with tears, even if not yet understanding everything, I withdraw all authorization that I once gave, consciously or unconsciously, to any spiritual presence that was not sent directly by God to guide me. This phrase, spoken with faith, is a key. It locks a door that has been open for years. The second step is the unmasking. You need to ask God with boldness to expose every disguise, every name, every figure, every presence that infiltrated your life using the appearance of an angel, of a guide, of a protector, of a friendly voice. Do not be afraid to ask for this. God does not allow a child to be destroyed by the truth he himself asked to see. On the contrary, it is exactly by seeing that the child becomes free. The third step is replacement. This is the step many chosen ones forget. It is not enough to expel the farce. It is necessary to occupy its place with the true presence. And the true presence is not another angel, chosen one. It is the Spirit of God himself. It is direct communion. It is prayer without an intermediary. It is face-to-face with the Father who never needed an imitation to love you. When you occupy this space with the direct presence of God, the farce no longer has a way back in. It tries, yes. It knocks on the door. It sends dreams. It sends memories. It sends false longing, sends guilt, sends fear. But it no longer has authorization, and without authorization it weakens until it disappears. The fourth step is the spiritual siege of the family, because the farce, when it loses you, tries to migrate. It tries to transfer to your son, to your spouse, to your elderly father in Seattle, to someone in the house who still has gaps. And that is exactly why this liberation cannot be only individual. It needs to cover your entire house. You need to pray for your family with the same intensity with which you prayed for yourself. You need to cut old ties that came from your lineage, rituals that your ancestors did without knowing, alliances that were made in exchange for protection in moments of generational despair. All of this must be undone in the name of the Father. And the fifth step, the most beautiful of all, is the reoccupation of purpose. Because you were not set free for nothing, chosen one. You were set free to fulfill that which this farce was trying to abort for so long. There is a calling upon your life. There is a people you will shepherd, a gift you will exercise, a word you will deliver, a healing that will pass through your hands, a family that will be restored because of you. All of this was stuck for years because a farce was occupying the throne that belonged to the true presence. But from the moment this throne is surrendered to God, the calling is unlocked, and your life begins to move at a spiritual speed you could not even dream of before. That is why the digital book, the God-Chosen's Manual for Family Protection, was written with such detail about each of these steps, about each specific prayer, about each declaration of breaking, about each family covering, about each spiritual movement the Chosen One needs to make, to not only free themselves from this farce, but to free themselves in such a way that it can never return. This digital book brings in clear language what entities from other dimensions have already tried to hide from the children of God about this silent war, and reveals the spiritual rules they never told you about how to recognize the true guardian angel sent by the Father from the one who merely wears the costume of one. This digital book is for the chosen one who understood that awakening is not a luxury, it is spiritual survival, and that your family depends on this liberation as much as you do. The link is pinned at the top of the comments. I repeat, chosen one with the greatest seriousness these words can carry. This digital book is the kind of material that is historically a target for attempts at silencing, because it delivers on a silver platter what many prefer to keep locked in the spiritual wings, and therefore it can be taken down at any moment. Do not wait for the right moment. The right moment is now, because the fact that you have watched until here, without turning away, without closing, without being distracted, is proof that this calling is yours. Download it now and comment, I am chosen and I will download the digital book. And understand one last thing before I release you. Everything that happened to you in these years, All the wrong decisions, all the losses, all the broken friendships, all the detours, all the moments of paralysis, all the prayers that seemed not to arrive, all the confused dreams, all the nights you felt a heavy presence passing itself off as gentle. None of that was because of your weakness. It was because of a farce staged with perfection against your lineage. And God revealed this to you today because the time of the farce is over. You are not going to leave this video the way you entered. You are going to leave with eyes open, with discernment activated, with a hunger for real presence, with a thirst for direct prayer, with a spiritual authority that begins to reorganize inside you at this very instant. And from today on, every time that old presence tries to approach, you will recognize it. Every time it tries to send a dream, you will discern it. Every time it tries to plant a fear, you will expose it. Every time it tries to pass itself off as an angel, you will call by the true name, and the true name is Father. It is God. It is the presence that never needed a mask to love you. You are chosen. You always were. And no farce, no matter how ancient, no matter how cunning, no matter how intimate, has power over the child who decided to return to the direct presence of the Father. Receive this word as a seal upon your day, upon your house, upon your descendants, and move forward knowing that this liberation is happening from this moment on, and so that this liberation does not remain only in the feeling of this moment, but becomes a journey, becomes practice, becomes a generational shield over your entire family. Download the digital book, The God-Chosen's Manual for Family Protection. The link is pinned at the top of the comments. It is the first pinned comment, and it delivers to you everything I could not say in a single video, because the depth of this farce requires written instruction, requires consultation, requires rereading, requires you to have in your hands a map for every moment the old entity tries to return to occupy the throne. This digital book is your map against this specific farce that passed itself off as a guardian angel in your life, and it was written for the chosen one who has already decided that they will no longer be deceived, that they will no longer yield their calling, that they will no longer surrender their family to counterfeit presences. There have already been attempts to silence this type of knowledge before, and that is why I cannot guarantee how long this link will remain available. The right moment is now, chosen one. Download it now and comment here below, with faith, with boldness, with the certainty of one who has just discovered who they really are. I am chosen, and I will download the digital book. And may it be that from this minute on, the farce falls, the throne is returned. The true presence occupies its place, and your entire lineage enters, at last, into the real protection that has always been reserved for you since before you were born.